Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the CEC15 calendar meeting. It is March 22nd, 2022. I am Camille Casaretti, the president of CEC15, and we're going to start this meeting by introducing our interpreters. It is now 6:38. Antonia?
The interpreters, could you please introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Rosa Rodriguez, Assistant Principal PS 94, and I'll be interpreting in Spanish.
And we should drop the Spanish phone number in the chat, please. Phone number for the Spanish line.
Rose, please say it in Spanish.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Rose Rodríguez, soy una de las subdirectoras de la Escuela 94. En esta noche estaré traduciendo al español la presentación. Los números para conectarse a la interpretación en español están en el chat. Es el 347-966-4114 y también tenemos interpretación del mandarín.
Thank you so much. Cecilia?
你好，我是94小学的老师张老师。那我今天会在这个会议中为你翻译。那如果你今天需要中文的翻译服务的话，请打347-966-4114。然后呢，那个会议号码是650-188-008，然后井字号。谢谢。
Thank you so much. So I am going to pass the floor over to Antonia Ferraro, who will do the roll call. And to all of our CEC members, if you would please leave your camera on through the meeting, that would be much appreciated. Go ahead, Antonia.
Okay, Council Member Camille Casaretti?
Present.
Antonia Ferraro, yes, I'm here. Tia Shellsteed?
Here.
I believe Vincent Liu is running a little bit late, but he'll be here. Nana Poku Ajakum?
Here.
Alfred DeAngelis?
Here.
Joseph Alexander? I thought I saw him. Is Joseph Alexander here?
I saw him also. Maybe he had some trouble with the signal I got.
Yeah. I think he dropped up and, maybe try to join again.
Okay, I'll try him in a minute. Ivan Banda is out of the country, and he has asked to have an excused absence. Nancy Randall?
Here.
Vanessa Gonzalez-Uoka?
Here.
Nakia Muhasa Brown?
Here.
And Jared Moser?
Here.
And let's go back to Joseph Alexander.
I see him, but maybe he's having audio trouble.
He's in the list there, though.
Yes, his camera off.
Oh,
So
okay.
are you able to
All
speak for now?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Literally ran from the train.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Do we have to vote on Ivan Banda's excused absence?
I don't want to go into a lot of personal details, but this was certainly an emergency, and he had wanted to talk to you all about it during the special session, but our special session ran about 30 minutes over time, and so he didn't want to hold everybody longer. But if you feel like you want to wait to hear from him yourself, we can do that. So I think we can wait.
Okay. So we have quorum, and I will read the introduction. Thank you, everybody, for coming to the District 15 Community Education Council meeting tonight. We appreciate your time and we're glad you could join us. For those of you who are new to CEC meetings, there are 32 CECs throughout the city, plus 4 citywide councils. Each CEC represents a community school district, and each is made up of 11 volunteer members, 9 of whom are elected by parents in the district. The remaining members are appointed by the Brooklyn Borough President, and we have 1 high school member. CEC15 is a state mandated public body responsible for ensuring that public school parents and the public have input in education decisions that are made at the school district level. Our council reviews education policies and advocates for high quality education that benefit all of our District 15 public elementary and middle school students. CEC15 serves 35 elementary and middle schools and 1 high school. CEC members serve in an advisory role on education matters to the district superintendent, the chancellor of the Department of Education, and elected officials. We approve school district zoning lines submitted by the Department of Education. We evaluate our district superintendent. We review the district's educational programs, and we support school leadership teams. We also submit recommendations for the School Construction Authority's annual capital plan. We actively seek input and feedback from the public and encourage you to visit our website, cec15.org. Take a look at our Facebook page and write to us about any issues you may want to address or learn about. All of our names and contact information are on our website. Thank you, and I'll turn it over to our parliamentarian.
Thanks, Antonia. On effective March 16, 2022, Governor Hochul signed Executive Order 11.4, extending virtual meetings until April 15th, and this is a COVID extension. Tonight's meeting is taking place remotely and will include public comment period, so you may be allowed to have additional feedback. We will be allowed to have additional feedback from our families and school community members. You may leave your camera on, or for your own privacy, if you prefer, you may use audio only during the comment period and throughout the meeting. Rules of engagement are when you comment, please respect the privacy of others. Don't include names of children or staff. Guests who make inappropriate comments will be removed from the meeting. During the public comment period, you may add comments to the chat or raise your hand to speak. Speakers will be called on one at a time and will be allowed 1 minute each for comment. We will hear as many speakers as the time allows. It is possible that not every question will be given time, so the best way to get your question answered is always to write the CEC at the email address I'll drop in the chat box. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I noticed that Vincent had said hello in the chat, so he's here, but now I actually don't see him on the screen. I'm so confused.
I just made him a co-host, so.
So he is here. Okay. Okay, great. Sorry, everyone, these logistics. Welcome again. Welcome to the March calendar meeting. And I want to congratulate our 2 newest members, Vanessa Oyeka and Nakia Brown. Welcome. Thank you for being here. So during our last business meeting, we redistributed schools among our council members so that Vanessa and Nakia could be able to represent some of the schools in our district. So I'll ask them if they would to just drop in the chat the names of the numbers of the schools that they're going to be representing and their contact information, so that if anybody here is on the call from those schools, they could reach out. And to all of our CEC members, please do that as well with your own schools, so that anybody who's here can recognize you as their school liaison. So our CEC members have been working really hard from the beginning of the year, meeting with principals, doing building walkthroughs. We are steadfast in our commitment to the children of District 15. This month alone, we had 3 meetings, sent letters to our elected officials advocating for more funding on the New York City budget. We attended professional development, and we held a large quantity of parent workshops. I hope you all have had a chance to come to some of these parent workshops. They've been really great. And we're hearing a lot of positive feedback on our new school, PS 958, which is opening in the fall. Every family is invited to attend this school, which is being designed by Sunset Park community members, and will be able to accommodate all different types of students, including those on the autism spectrum. In D15, we do not believe in segregating our children. They all have so much to offer, and we want to bring them all together. Many of us have children in ICT classrooms and know that there is a long list of reasons why the integrated co-teaching model is great for every student and even for our teachers. So as this state Senate and Assembly session is progressing, we were able to advocate loudly about a few different items that are going to be benefiting all of our schools and our families. One of them is that we asked to have mayoral control removed from the state budget. We're advocating for a 1-year renewal of mayoral control, but we also want to see a task force created to analyze systems for a new form of school governance, one that includes greater parent voice, more local decision-making, more transparency, and more accountability. The mayor just announced his appointees to the panel for education policy today, which is for all intensive purposes, New York City's school board. And many of them are charter school advocates. Charter schools have been negatively impacting our traditional schools, and much of this is happening through inequitable funding streams, which were created through deals that the mayor made with the governor, in order to allow for a more extreme amount of charters to be created in New York City. So we're asking for a revision of the charter school tuition formula so that public schools are not adversely impacted by increases in charter funding. The current formula takes resources away from our traditional public schools, and they do that in order to fund charter schools. What we want to see is New York City eligible for transition aid, similarly to what is happening in other school districts all over New York State. New York City is, in fact, the only school district in the state that does not receive this funding to offset the cost of charter schools. We want to see an increase in the supplemental tuition payments for school districts so that more funds are made available for traditional schools. We want to eliminate the requirement that New York City pay the rent for charter schools and private facilities. New York City is the only school district in the nation that is required to do this. Back in February, we had a presentation of fair student funding. We all know that there is nothing fair about charter schools absorbing 57% of the increase in foundation aid that is basically going to be spent on 14% of all of the New York City students, and those happen to be the ones enrolled in charter schools. So I would encourage all of you to write or call your elected officials about these issues as soon as possible and frequently, because the session is in progress and a lot of these decisions are going to be made soon. At our March 12th session, our special session, we voted on 2 letters, and I'll ask if somebody could drop those in the chat. One of them was a letter to Mayor Adams and the New York City Council on transition aid. And basically, we are requesting that they officially and formally ask the Senate Assembly and to give New York City schools this transition aid. And we wrote another letter to Governor Hochul for open meetings law. We know that all over the city, these Zoom conferences have allowed access to a lot more people than they had in the past. And so we are advocating to continue to allow access through teleconferencing. So right now we're still waiting to find out if there would be any changes, any permanent changes to the open meetings law. But for the moment, we are going to continue remotely until April 15th. There's a lot more, but I am going to pass it over to Antonia to continue speaking. Go ahead, Antonia.
Hi, everybody. So I'm just going to give you some upcoming dates. Next Monday, CEC15 is going to have a joint legislative session with the D15 President's Council and our local elected officials. If there are any PA or PTA executive board members or committee chairs that would like to attend, please reach out to CEC15 and we'll put you in touch with the President's Council's president, Jenny Woodson. As Camille already stated, the PEP meeting is tomorrow, Wednesday, March 23rd. Next Monday is also the District 15 DLT meeting at 9:30 a.m. There is an interesting event called Emotional Disturbance, How a Controversial IEP Designation Fails Black Boys. This is a free session. It's March 23rd. From 2:30 to 4 p.m. I can put the link to that in the chat. Basically, there's a classification called emotional disturbance, and Black students are more than twice as likely to be classified as having this. And so it's a discussion about self-advocacy, and breaking down the meaning and the stigma and the harm that this term emotional disturbance creates. There have been recently released resources by the DOE for Ukrainian students and families. We've heard from some of our community members who would like their schools to address the issue and the war in Ukraine with their students. And the DOE has put out resources around that. I can put that link in the chat as well. We are still hiring for an AA for the CEC, and that application period is open until April 8th. So if you are interested in applying, or you know of anybody who's interested in applying, please reach out to CEC15. Our April business meeting is April 12th at 6:30. And schools are closed from April 15th to the 22nd for spring break. And now I will turn it back over to Camille or Superintendent Scott.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. Camille, if you can share the PowerPoint. Thank you. So good evening, everybody. Next slide, please. So we have a somewhat packed agenda. I'll talk very fast, but I have left time for questions, of course. So we are honoring Women's History Month and other holidays of the month, as we are going to take a quick overview of the map data. I just added it in, Sonia, so this is what I have,
Great.
but we can get more. We're going to talk about the changes to the COVID protocols in terms of how that impacts graduation, trips, masks, etc. I'm going to give you what summer school information we have to date, a quick update on the PAR process in Sunset Park, and then we're going to honor a star student very quickly, and then open to questions. So can we go to the next slide? So this is Women's History Month. And I want to take a moment during Women's History Month to honor our principals. The overwhelming majority of our principals are women. Many of them are women of color and Latinx principals, and they are amazing. They are true heroes in their own right. These are people who have worked tirelessly, not only at the school level, but at the community level, and have helmed their ship through really rocky waters and shores to get us to where we are today. They have dealt with COVID. They have dealt with food insecurity. They have dealt with financial insecurity from their community. They have dealt with political insecurity in terms of families that were afraid they would be deported. They have supported their families all across the board and are incredible leaders. So I want to take this moment to honor them as part of Women's History Month. So thank you, our principals. You are amazing. Next slide. Many of you know that St. Patrick's Day happens in March of every year, and the mayor has said the luck is back in New York. But March is also Irish Heritage Month, and we need to remember that oftentimes Irish families and the Irish community were also seen as outsiders and had difficulty in terms of being accepted into America as immigrants. So not all St. Patrick's Day gold coins. It is also the Jewish holiday of Purim, and which was just celebrated this week. And it is a celebratory holiday about overcoming a person who wanted to annihilate a community. So these are fun holidays, but they also come with history as well. So thank you for letting me share that with you. Next slide. Okay, I'm going to go through this as best as I can. So this is the data that we were given. This is map prediction data. This is prediction data. As of now, it is divided into 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. What you're looking at is you can see what the actual state scores levels were in 17, 18, and 18, 19. This is for ELA. And you can see that this is the midwinter. Now, please remember, there are schools that did not complete it, and there are also schools that used iReady, and you can see iReady at the bottom. We have about 10 schools that use iReady. So this data in and of itself is not the most amazing data in terms of validity. But what I will say to you is that when you look at the prediction data, you can see that in ELA, midwinter, which was the January administration of the test, the kids are fairly close to where they were on the state exams. And so the expectation is that they should do slightly less, but not terribly less than they did on the state exams in the actual years that we took them. And for those of you who don't know, the state exams are this week for ELA, this coming week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and they will be after the vacation for the math. So this is ELA. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the ELA broken down to subgroups in terms of math growth from the first administration to the second. These are predictions again. And you all have this so you can look at it at length. But what is nice to see is that we do have subgroup growth in terms of the predictions, despite COVID. Okay, and I just want to take a second to tell you that the Acadians is for the little ones. Some schools are using Acadians. This is why it's not consistent. Acadians is being used across the board in some schools, but most schools are only using Acadians K-2. Some schools are using Acadians for ELA and math. Other schools are using Acadians exclusively for ELA and using MAP for math, because it's a somewhat easier administration. Next slide. This is the math. Again, these are predictors, and you can see that the math is lower. Antonia, you raised a point and that I've been seeing across the district, and I'm going to tell you what we're going to do to address it. For some reason, I'm guessing because of the conceptuality of it, the ELA seemed to translate better into remote learning. The math was not as comfortable for kids. And so they are not as strong in their skills as they would have been had they been in school during COVID, like if there was no COVID. So one of the things that we are doing is we're using a piece of our grant. We're going to have an institute this summer for teachers with metamorphosis, and we're going to carry forth metamorphosis training for teachers as we had this past year to support stronger math instruction, not more math instruction, but better and stronger math instruction. And may I add that the metamorphosis math instruction and support is designed to be more aligned with a CRSE curriculum. So it is not as inequitable. And we are finding that the teachers who've been working with it this past year, for example, PS24 really love it. So this is where we are with the math. You can see that it is not spectacular, but it is still within a range. Next one. Okay. What we're seeing with the math, again, these are math by subgroups. And we had very strong data by subgroups. What they consider predictable on the state exam oftentimes has to do with being at or above the 41st percentile. So you can see that there is a prediction that there is within a range and there is some growth. So we're going to see if it comes true or not, if this is accurate. But again, predictors are not always accurate. And I don't want you to think that this is like pure data, because it's always questionable. It's always questionable. So I hope that helps. I'm happy to talk more at length about it and to get you more information about it. Next slide. And I do want to say one thing before I go into the COVID protocols, because I think this is the most important thing. All of this data is not designed to label children. All of this data is designed to identify areas of need. It is not supposed to, and you've heard me say this before, it is not supposed to be your report card grade. It is not supposed to have anything to do with grading. It is an assessment of need and areas of need. And I have to say that the schools are looking at trends and looking at it more, which is helpful. Prior to using the screeners, schools would sometimes do their own exams, their own way of screening. They would sometimes use, most schools, our schools use Fontes and Bunnell for ELA. And sometimes that provides insight if you have very skilled people, but sometimes it doesn't go granular enough. So using the screeners has been successful in terms of figuring out where kids need extra support, and schools have already begun targeting those areas of need. Next slide. Oh, leave this slide. So this is the changes to COVID protocols that have come up. As you are aware, masks are optional for all students grades K to 12. Today, the mayor mentioned that he might make masks optional for all students, 3K, 4K, as of April 1st, 4th, excuse me. I saw this. I am not sure this is 100% accurate, but this is what we believe is going to happen. The schools of what I want you to understand, what's important is that the schools have prioritized supporting children to ensure that whether or not they wear a mask, they are comfortable wearing a mask or comfortable not wearing a mask, and that they are treated equitably and empathetically by their classmates. I have been in schools doing PPOs, and I have seen lots of kids wearing masks. I've also seen lots of kids not wearing masks. So it seems to be working. The next two pieces are good news. Class trips are back, and many schools are planning senior adventures. So we're very excited about that. I've gotten requests for permission for team building activities, many of them outdoors, which are very exciting. And we are delighted to support them. You're also having graduation and proms, and outdoor and indoor graduations are the expectation, with the caveat of trying to do live streaming if people are having an indoor graduation and are not vaccinated. So this is still a consideration, and the same rules apply for proms. Okay, next slide. This is the summer school information we have as yet. The summer school program is summarizing 2022, is the program that will be the K-8 instructional program. And that program will run Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. for any child who wishes to attend. There are mandated students that will be supported in getting seats, but any child who wishes to attend will be able to go to summer school. The DOE instructional component will run 8 to 12 Monday through Thursday. Then from 12 to 6, the CBO wraparound will take over. Fridays will be exclusively CBO. For elementary school, it will be 7 weeks. The last week, it will be exclusively run by the CBO, so basically a camp. For the middle schools, it will run 6 weeks. There will not be that last week. Enrollment will launch in April, and this year, the enrollment process will be run by the DOE and not by DYCD. And based on historical data, Central will set aside seats at all sites to support mandated children. So there will be definitely seats for kids who are mandated as a priority. Okay, next slide. Oh, thank you, Joey. I'm so sorry. Forgive the jargon. CBO is community-based organization. So things like Beacon, Center for Family Life, are community-based organizations that have programs in schools. One of the things that came up as a request today was the Sunset Park PAR and how is it doing? So it has launched. The group has been meeting weekly in Sunset Park since the beginning of March. They have been meeting in person for the most part, and they used PS 94 for a meeting, and they were looking for other sites as well. Attendance has been robust, and there is a broad representation of Schools, PS1, PS 24, 94, 169, 516, and 896 are exactly part of this, and we're reaching out to other schools and communities as well. There are 20 community researchers who are attending from across the Sunset Park area, and the meetings are conducted in Mandarin, Spanish, and English. The team has spent the early weeks learning about each other and team building and learning about the schools in Sunset Park and beginning to develop their research questions so that when they go out into the field, they will be able to ask the questions that they find to be valuable. In terms of consideration of new school buildings, the PAR project will explore the educational experience of families in the neighborhood and consider how to further equitable education and thriving schools for all children. The team is in the process of developing their communication strategies, website, social media, etc., and looking forward to joining the April CEC to speak more about their work. And they do have a website, and I put it on the bottom here. It is district15parproject.org. So please feel free to follow up with that. I just want to take 2 minutes to talk about a wonderful little girl in PS 154. This is Annalise Ginsburg, and when she heard about the Ukraine and she was worried, she started a bake sale to support the International Red Cross. She worked with her school's 4th and 5th grade service learning team, sold cookies, and they raised $300 for the International Red Cross. And Annalise was the New York One's New Yorker of the Week as a result of this. So we are honoring Annalise with this slide. Next slide. I want to quote from Dr. Martin Luther King, because I think this is something that we should never forget. What affects one directly affects all indirectly. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. This is the interrelated structure of reality. People always talk about this. They say it in different ways. This is a beautiful quote of this. We impact people every day of our lives. They impact us. And there are sayings like, I'm not good unless everybody's good, and things like that, that are a quick and down and dirty version of this. But the truth is we have an enormous impact on each other, and it behooves us to do what's right for each other. So I want to thank you guys and everyone for all the help that you've given to the district and how much you as a CEC work towards this goal, because it's one of the things I brag about. Next slide. And now I'm open for questions.
Okay, thank you. We have Feng Chen.
Hi, I'm Fan Chen. I'm from PSA 96. And this is our first time joining CEC meeting. I'm very excited. Thank you.
Welcome.
I have a question to superintendent, please. Our school very small, but our president, teacher, and parents work together is very good. We parents every month have a lot of activities to help kids, and but now we have one big problem is we don't have a parent coordinator. This coordinator is it for help us? We want to learn more. But we don't know what's going on, like what we can do and what we need to stop. We don't know. And now is another school help me because we are its friend, like PS 169 PTA and PS 94 PTA to help us. But we need more help, please. If we can have parents coordinator, I think we can make it very good because our school is small and a lot of things is very easy to build. But we need a leader who can help us. Our school have a lot of we have a lot of power. We want to do a lot of things, but I don't know what I can do at all. What is next? I don't know. So if you can help us with, I think is our school is for parents is very thank you because we want to do more. We want to help kids more and we want to help school more. Thank you.
Thank you, Feng. I want to tell you that I've been to your school very recently, and the school is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And the interaction between the parent community and the school itself is just, it's a blessing. And I will speak to the principal. I will have somebody from my team reach out and we will figure out what the issue is with the parent coordinator. You should be able to have a parent coordinator. There should be absolutely be funding for a parent coordinator. We will find out how to fix it for you. We will absolutely follow up.
I am PTA second president, and with president same she's Spanish, and we want to help more, but we don't know what we do. And this is the first one. Second one, every activities I take a lot of picture, and every parents they look in the class Jojo, they say, wow, it's amazing, a lot of power because everybody work together. So this is amazing. So if COC can help, yeah, if you can help us, it's very thank you so much.
We will definitely help you. I will have my parent person, both Christine Farrell and Brenda will reach out to you and we will figure out what to do to get you a parent coordinator. But also, please don't hesitate to call my office if you need anything. I will put the number in the chat. I will put my email in the chat. Please don't hesitate, but we will reach out to you as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you and welcome to your first meeting. Please come back. Our next question, we have Tia.
Hi, thanks Anita for your presentation. I apologize. I can be a little dense, but I don't understand this map presentation. Can we just look at one of the slides together?
Sure.
It doesn't matter. Like these percentages, what do they represent? They represent, you said something about prediction. So, so it's the percentage of students who through their performance on the MAP test are predicted to meet a proficiency standard by the end of the year. Is that what those percentages represent? Okay.
Yeah, that's basically it. There's more to the map than this, but this is the data that I could pull together very quickly for you this evening. Because I had used it for a PowerPoint with my executive superintendent. What I'm going to be honest with you. I'm always skeptical about predictions because a prediction is that it's like a maybe. But what the map does is it takes a certain number of skills that the kids are learning or expected to learn, and it changes. So let's say the best example I can give you is with the little ones. And what they do is they look at what the skills the kids have at a certain point. And then they move to the second exam, because this is the result of two administrations. And what they look at is their growth, is their change. But this is where the caveat, where it gets confusing, Tia, and you're not the only person. Trust me, you're not dense. This is somewhat confusing. The The problem with this is that there is an expectation of they knew certain skills in the beginning, and now the expectation is they'll know more skills. So the prediction is that they'll know a certain number of skills by the end of the year. It's a prediction. It's not carved in stone, and you can have kids who do brilliantly on this and maybe don't do as brilliantly on the state exam. Or you can have kids who like struggle with a certain skill. They've gotten a little RTI and then literally because the magic of their teacher and the work they've done, they get to the state exam and they're comfortable with it and they do much better than the prediction. So I'm curious to see what happens, how this really compares to the state exams. We have had some schools that a couple of years ago, before COVID, were using iReady to do the same thing. And there are some schools that are still using iReady. And what they found was that the iReady was in some ways a fairly accurate predictor. Doesn't mean it's totally accurate, but it was close. Again, I want to see how this is. For my money, for me, it's nice that we have predictions, to be honest. And I would never say to a parent, oh my God, your kid isn't doing well, quick, because that's not what this is designed to do, really. What this is designed to do, really, what screeners are designed to do is to say, oh, the kids are struggling with consonant blends, or the kids are struggling with vocabulary, and tell you specifically what the kid should be working on, as opposed to just saying, oh, they have problems with reading comprehension. Reading comprehension is this giant umbrella. But if you want to know how to help a child, you have to know why they're having trouble with reading comprehension. And that's what screeners are supposed to be designed to do. So yes, this is predictions. We don't know how accurate they are as yet, but the predictions look pretty decent so far. That doesn't mean that they're going to be amazing. It also doesn't mean that they're going to be terrible. It means we just don't know yet.
I'm sorry.
this is
So
what
so like 13%, 50% of white students will have over 41% proficiency by the end of the year. To me, that doesn't sound great, but maybe I'm not understanding.
No. So according
Oh.
to this, look at the line above it.
Yeah.
The growth at or above 41%, that is what they're saying. This is
Okay.
saying, this is the growth as of the second administration.
Okay.
Mhm. And this is the prediction of what they think will be. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
truly
Okay.
don't know.
I'm sorry. What is the prediction?
This
I
is
thought
the
all of the
prediction.
percentages were predictions
This
for the
is
end of the year.
showing this is the prediction at level 3 on the state exam. That's what this says.
Right. Okay.
This,
Okay.
the line above it is showing, this is where
Is showing the
I'm-
41st
Yeah.
percentile. Okay.
Percentile, yeah.
And then, so looking at the ELA by subgroups, I'm
Go back
seeing,
ELA, please.
that,
Yeah.
so some of the students took the MAP tests and also the iReady tests?
No, they took one or the
Okay.
other.
Okay.
That's the confusion. And
Okay.
I'm going to confuse you even more, because some of the kids don't take MAP or iReady. The little ones take Acadians.
Okay, great. And then
that's what
just
you're
as my
seeing.
last question is just this grades 3 through 5 math, I'm seeing only 2017 through 2019. I guess you're just giving this to us as like extra data that you happen to have or whatever.
These are the actual last tests that kids took before COVID,
Okay.
the state
Okay.
tests.
Oh, this
before
is state
COVID.
tests, but it
That's not
says
the
MAP.
test. There was no MAP test then. That's the state exams before COVID.
Okay. Oh, the underneath, but the MAP prediction math, that's this
Yeah, this is
year?
what they're comparing it to. This is
Okay.
math.
Okay,
But-
but I'm saying
it
that
works the
top
same
line
way.
is this year?
Yes, this
Okay,
is where
okay.
they are now.
Okay, okay.
Okay?
Thank you so much. Thank
is-
you.
This is so
You know,
confusing.
I mean,
It's
the
not-
DOE spent so much money on this testing. I'm trying to get as much usefulness out of it as possible.
So I'm going to tell you two things. One, this is not the most useful part of the testing. That's what's
Right,
making me
Sure.
crazy.
sure.
Two, the most useful part of the testing is happening at the school level where they're looking at a child and saying, oh, this child needs extra work in understanding fractions, in conceptual understanding of fractions in grade 4.
Right. I mean, you know,
Yeah, this
I
is
mean,
what
they
it's supposed
already
to be.
have assessments, you know, in the classroom that, you know,
But
test for
the thing-
fractions and all of that.
But the thing is, this is what screeners are supposed to do. And this
Right,
is
right,
what I
right.
want to explain.
Sure, sure, sure.
They're supposed to be very granular. I'm going to use
Mhm.
Acadians because it's an excellent example.
Mhm.
You can do Fontes and Pinnell. Everybody does Fontes and Pinnell and comes up with a level. But let's use reading comprehension as an issue. You have to be an extremely skilled practitioner to be able to look at a child and discover, is their reading comprehension the result of them having a problem with decoding? Is the reading comprehension a problem of them having a problem with vocabulary? Or is the reading comprehension with them having a problem of lack of schema, meaning they don't have contextual sense of what the passage is about? Further, if the issue is decoding, and when you talk about kids who are dyslexic, and you're going to hear me talk a lot more because we're working to send people to Orton Gillingham, and we're working to do all of these things. It is essential that when you say a child has problems with decoding, well, what exactly does that mean? Does it mean that they don't know their consonant sounds? Does it mean they don't know long vowels or short vowels? Does it mean that they don't know how to blend a word? Does it mean they don't know digraphs? What exactly does that mean? So what a screener is designed to do is not just give you a reading level like Fontes and Pinnell and give you some information, but actually break it down for the teacher and say, this is the area of need. It's very specific. This is very nice. And this is something that I'm sure people are looking at. This came from my BCO. This is the information we got. But the granular information that makes a difference in what kids are taught and what I'm seeing in schools when I do PPOs is very different. It's not about the grade they got, but it's about where they're having a problem. It's diagnostic. That's the best explanation I can give of this. So thank you for asking that question, because I'm sure lots of people were wondering.
Nancy, thank you for holding.
Thank you, Joseph. Hi, Superintendent Scott. So I have a comment and a question. My comment is about the tests, the MAP tests. I have to say it's really hard to look at these percentages that show that the white students are twice, like the numbers are double, if not more than double the numbers for Black, Latinx, MLL, multiple language learners, students in temporary housing, and students with disabilities. It's really hard. And then it's also hard to see that growth is considered at the 41st percentile. But again, we see that for the most part, students who are not white are not getting to that 41st percentile. So that it's just hard to see these numbers. And then my question is about COVID plans. What does the DOE have planned right now if we do have another variant that surges?
So to be honest with you, we haven't heard anything yet in terms of plans. As I said to you, the mayor has alluded to the fact that he is planning to make masks optional for the littlest ones in about 10 days. And I don't know. I think that people are worried about it. I think that we have to wait and see. But as soon as I get more information, I will absolutely share it with everybody. But as of now, these are the plans going forward. I don't know what's going to happen if there is a surge there. I've read very little. I read some about Europe, and some places are saying it's surging, and some places are saying it's not really something we need to worry about. So there's conflicting information. As soon as we get more information, I will absolutely share it. Thank you, Nancy, for asking that. I'm sure people are so concerned.
Let's move to Joey.
Oh, hi. I have two questions.
Sure.
So first thing is regarding the part, because we have a new school, because I am in a part, the team. So I know, and before PS A96 opening, I am the team designer also. So I know the school and the new school, 36th Street. PS9 as because they open September.
Yes.
I wonder. I know the both two, because they're small and they're new. Not many people know it, so maybe not many people to apply it. So we all know the school funding regarding the student enrollment. So which is both in the two school. I think not only that school,
So-
but around Sunset Park, there are more school. Of course, their enrollment going decreasing. Right. So I just wonder, these two school need more, supporting from DOE if I mean that's we right now I indicate for PS A96. They have a lot of parents think about transfer out from that school. I heard a lot
So
of parents talking about that because they thinking a lot of parents, a lot of students near EL student, the parents are saying they are not get enough support on that, and do not have a many, and they are combining, kindergarten or first grade together.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So a lot of parents are not happy with that. So and a lot of things, the schools more and not enough funding, so do not offer many programs for the students. So I just heard. I just want you awareness about that. September maybe going to worst in that, and beside that, and new school, 958, right? 950 or 958.
Yeah.
That school, minimum you must have 80 students, and then get fully funding. They kind of to have some program to offer to the students. But my point is, I know how difficult to get some say about more school coming out, new school coming out, because I going with West SSC and Delago parade, go to meetings. I know how hard, how difficult they coming out the more school, but I don't want, because enrollment, the school in the future, they will got no program to offer the student, not meaningful at all for those kind of beautiful new location.
Joey, let me answer you, honey. Let me answer you, please. So first of all, the new school that's opening on 36th Street and 5th Avenue, we are already have lists of parents who are applying, and we have been publicizing it all over the place. So that school is serving a very unique population in terms of it's an inclusion school. It will have gen ed students. It will also have children who are on the ASD spectrum. It's different. 896 this coming year is expanding to third grade. I was just in the school, as Fang said, they offer an extraordinary thing. I know that they have dual language programs. And because they have dual language program, they have a K1 bridge because they want to keep the integrity of the dual language program. It's not because they're trying to keep it small, and it's not because parents don't like it. Fang can tell you that the parents love that school. I met with the parents when I was there. I saw the work that the children are doing. It's phenomenal. They are bringing in programs. They are waiting to expand as well to the Seatown site. They will be expanding to the Seatown site. They were originally supposed to expand to the Seatown site in September. Because of COVID, it's not ready yet. So for now, they will be in the grade 3 will still be at St. Agatha's. So they will continue, but they are offering programs. They are doing great things. I invite you to go and see that school because what the kids are doing is just phenomenal. I met with the kids team and the discussions that they have and the language that they were able to use and their ability and the arts that they were doing. It is a remarkable program. So if you are nervous that parents don't want to keep their kids there, trust me, it is a fantastic program. All of the schools in Sunset Park, all of the schools on this list are doing amazing things, all of them. And we will encourage parents to send their children to Sunset Park, and we will support the parents. One of the reasons to have the PAR project, Joey, which is, I'm so glad you're on it because you're such an important parent, is that we want to make sure that this is the direction that we're taking the schools, that they're having the programs that parents want. And this, yes, there has been a decline in population across the entire city and across the district. But our schools were always overcrowded. So now they have the room to really expand and do things. And they are doing amazing things. So please, I know the CEC is going to visit the schools. Please go visit. Please talk to the principals if you'd like. I can bring in the principal from 896 and she can talk about her school. Maybe we should do that at the April meeting as well. But I'm telling you, this is a remarkable school with an incredible principal. Thank
I
you.
went there before when they just knew first Lunar New Year. I invite some people can do some Chinese, traditional 毛笔字 in that to celebration for Lunar New Year. I've been there before, but I just wonder because I live in this Sunset Park. I like to have a more school coming out. I know how crowd before, how difficult coming out of school. I just want they have a more parents interested in different school and can release around the Sunset Park schools, not like the 33 and kind of thing. And by the way, I one more thing, which is they have a new school coming out, and then DOE. Do DOE have some particular team to promote those kind of new school coming out? Have some like a community outreach team to promote?
They don't have a community outreach, but we're doing it through the district office. The young woman who came and spoke to the CEC last month, her name is Emily Shapiro, is the project director. And I don't know if you were on last month, but she was here and she spoke at length and she'd be happy to come back again. And she's promoting it. And I have to tell you, it is very popular already. But we want to make sure that it serves.
I know Emily, the new school site project director. I know her, but which I know how difficult she needs supporting. I just wonder, you get more support to her. That's it. So
Absolutely. We support her without question. Absolutely.
Oh, second one, because in Sunset Park, I don't know how can I just let people look at those kind helping Sunset Park, family to helping to solve this problem. Before 6 months, I have parents from Sunset Park, like a 13 years old boy get hit by car because in the 6th Avenue, 44th Street, between 46 to 44 in 6th Avenue, they do not have a traffic light, but which is net close to Sunset Park. They're mostly is kids and seniors, especially right now it's summer, and the kids hit by car, the car just run away, And then today, our school from PS 94 families, one boy, by hit a car again. So I just wonder, CEC or your officer, I don't know how can let people get attention that earlier can do a DOT get attention. They need a traffic light. That's my purpose
think-
coming today.
Joey, I will
I think
reach out to the local electeds. They can
well,
help with
I
that.
do. Listen, I went to CB7 before. I told them how do we can do that, but no response. And I just
All right,
kind
let
of
me follow. Let me see if I can make some noise for you.
yeah.
Let me
how
see if
to
I can
get
do something.
DOT can get traffic is a very important location in there. It's close to the park. It's mostly is children's seniors every single day. 6 months I already know 2 families get hit. Kids in D15 family get hit by car. So it's kind of very. For just a regular person, it's very difficult to how to get people to attention. If can spread out some information that let's not say our parents we can get a petition that kind of deal. I can let the people to follow some rule or to fight something like the DOT get a traffic light in Sunset Park.
We will work to get a traffic light. The CEC will help. We will help. We will reach out to the local elected people, not the community board, but the electeds, and see if they can.
At least I should know this.
Thank you, Joey. Thank you for bringing this
Okay,
up. It's
bye-bye.
good to know.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Feng, you had one more question?
Hi, Joy say PSA 96, some parents they want to move. This is true because parents tell me they love school, and because we school is very small, and some resource is not a lot, just a little bit, and we build 5 years, we don't have parent coordinator. This to us is very difficult, and we want some program like English program because English to us is a second language, not the first one. To us is very difficult. A lot of parents speak Mandarin and Spanish, so we need extra help. And it's for last week, first day begin 1 week, 2 times, Thursday and Tuesday. We just begin 2 times. So we need to try is this program for help kids. If they work, so this one is very good. But now is the parents very upset. Is parents say we love our school and we use hard to love kids and to help school, but only our school is resource is just a little bit. So we need a moving, we need to change house. So to us is difficult. So today I don't want to say a lot like, oh, COC help us is like a lot. No, just one, please. Parents.
Thank you.
Parent.
We will follow up.
Thank you so much.
I promise you, we will follow up tomorrow morning.
And our school, a lot of things is very, very good. The principal and the teacher, all parents, they are always very good because we work together and we always help. So even like a DOE or like a superintendent, you carry us. I think a small school, we can make it very better. And if we made it better, a lot of small school, they look is, oh, you see, they
You're right. But your school is
I think this is
amazing.
very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I think we're moving on to our high school update now. Thank you, Superintendent Scott.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, CEC15. Just so great to hear the questions that the parents have. Superintendent Scott, my mind is buzzing. It's really, I want to say before we start the presentation that I really appreciate the questions from the parents, and I really want to also say that I'm very appreciative of the parents wanting these partnerships with their schools. It is so important for us to hear these things, even at the high school level, about engaging parents and providing resources for you, and especially for, well, not especially for all of our students, but especially for our students who come in speaking another language. Our multilingual learners are a major source of focus for us, and we are working with partners, and we are also working with our borough office and our schools to ensure that teachers are using curriculum that supports the students. We have some programs that some of our schools are using that are very successful in helping our multilingual learners. And perhaps I can do a presentation on that for our next CEC meeting, or I could let Dr. Tu know that that is something that is a focus for the group tonight. I just was doing a lot of thinking when you were speaking, Ms. Chen, about I hear the passion in your voice, and I hear the desire to want to have the resources and to be able to engage in a partnership with your schools to make sure that your children and you are successful in helping your child navigate. So that put a lot of things on my radar. So thank you for that. Good evening, everybody. I'll be brief. I just wanted to share with you a few things that are going on in Brooklyn North High Schools. As I always do, I start with the 4 pillars because we are aligning our work to the vision of the chancellor. There's a lot of crosswalking going on between what we were doing and what he is energizing us to do, and around our goals. One of the things that, so here are some things that are happening around Brooklyn North last month. We welcomed 26 new assistant principals with a meet and greet. Super exciting to have our new leaders in our buildings, learning about the philosophy, the pedagogy of critical love, and the philosophy that we embrace at the Brooklyn North High Schools, as well as our goals and our priorities. And we also had an MSK event with wonderful speakers in celebration and in recognition of Black History Month. We had a town hall meeting with our MBK, or My Brother's Keeper participants, called What is Our Story, which was very successful. Let me actually present this to you a little bit better so you can see it. So these events are instrumental in lifting up our young men and women, giving them voice, giving them agency, mentorship, and leadership opportunities, as well as a forum to kind of hear from these very powerful and pivotal speakers that they are connected to. And we also have some schools that are engaged in a SEAL pilot. SEAL stands for Social, Emotional, and Academic Learning. This pilot, we selected some schools to participate in looking at the intersectionality between academics and social emotional learning, and how they at a school work together with their within their different systems and structures to support social emotional learning and academics in their classrooms and in their school communities.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Sure.
at least one of us is having trouble seeing the full slide. We just want to try to find out if that's happening to others, or I don't know if you are able to do this quickly, but if you could drop the link in the chat, maybe it's possible to look at it that way.
I would have to, let me see if this helps, because I'm having you look at my desktop, maybe that.
Or if you want to email it, the CEC email, I could do the screen share on my
Can you
end.
see it? Can you see it when I show it like this? Or does this look any better?
Can anybody who's having a problem give a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Nakia, you can see it?
Yes, I can
Oh,
see it
okay.
now, it's just smaller.
Okay.
Thank you.
And when I do this, is it still the same?
That's better.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So much.
Thank you for letting me know. So these are the different things that are going on around Brooklyn North. The SEAL pilot is being done with our school leaders and their cabinets. They're using a data-wise protocol. And this pilot is to look at how schools are raising student achievement through both academic and LCL programs. We are also doing a lot of work with around Classrooms of Tomorrow. Some of our schools are engaged in the purchasing of some exciting new equipment for exciting new learning spaces. We have several schools in Brooklyn North that are beginning this process of transforming classrooms into 21st century spaces to increase student collaboration and active learning, to prepare them to meet current and future industry demands. So this furniture and equipment in the 21st century classroom, the furniture is multifunctional and mobile and encourages efficient transitions between different teaching and learning styles. So we are very excited to see some of our classrooms transformed with this, and to see how it in fact changes the face of teaching and learning in schools. Superintendent, of course, would love to see this in all of our high schools. It's a process, but we are going to keep you posted and take some pictures of things and show you and share with you some of the things that are developing around the Classrooms of Tomorrow. Our attendance as a district, whole district in all 47 schools went up since last month. We're very excited to see that. D15 is holding at 84%. And then I'm going to give you a breakdown of the schools. Here are the schools' averages for attendance. We're also happy to see that Cobble Hill High School has taken on a 6% jump this so far. And they were really struggling with attendance, but we've been doing a lot of intensive work with them and with some of our other schools. No, it is not 100%, and 100% is our goal. And then we're going to continue to work with our school leaders and their attendance teams to raise the attendance as much as possible, so that we can meet our goal of 100%, but we're working towards it. The attendance has been a challenge, and we are fully engaged in this work. We meet the district meets with attendance teams and points once a month, and we do school visits and work with teams on site as well to support them in this endeavor. An update on special ed services. This was as of, the district average has risen. Now it is at 80%. District 15 is at 80%. It has risen substantially in terms of administration of the services of students receiving all services. This is the breakdown by school. We have seen an increase. And by the way, you'll notice that some of these schools seem on the low end. I can tell you that since 3.8, we have already made gains from that, and I will be giving you the data for that next month. But a lot of this, again, this is something we've been working with school teams, the SIT teams, and the programmers and the IEP coordinators to figure out what is keeping students from receiving all services. Sometimes it's simply a programming issue. Sometimes it's much bigger, as needing more special education teachers. but some of it was also IEP adjustments that needed to be made that impacted those numbers. That students do not necessarily need ICT services in all of their classes. And if their IEP needed to be updated to reflect that, that would then reflect how they were programmed in the system. So these numbers have moved since, and if you want to see more current numbers, please reach out to me. We will be getting those numbers shortly, and then we can provide that to you if you want to get them in advance of the next CEC meeting. As always, we want to share with you the amazing things that are happening in D15 schools. I want to make sure that you can see my desktop, so I'm going to share the whole thing. Can you see this? This is the sway, the monthly sway that we put out. All parent coordinators in our schools submit a parent news item, a teacher news item, and a student news item, and they submit to us where we put together this community newsletter. So we wanted to share with you some of the great things that are happening at Digital Tech, paint and sips of the parents, celebrations of Black history. These are also displays that teachers were working on with students in celebration of Black history. We actually have Black History 365, which is a full curriculum that all of our schools are implementing. Those schools that did not already have a Black history course have the curriculum in the schools and are teaching it now to the students. We also have, I'm just going through really quickly, some of the events that, and I'm going to share this link with you anyway, CEC, so that you can see all the events. Typically, the schools will post all of their membership meetings, their SLT meetings, trainings that are going on in their schools, pictures, things about John Jay campus sports. So if you want to see all of the things that are going on in D15, that is the source. And I believe that's the end of my presentation tonight. I know that you probably have other questions that may not have been in this presentation, but I encourage you to put them in the chat and ask me questions or send questions to me. I'm always happy to make sure that you don't go away with your questions unanswered.
Yes, well, we are quite over time. So to recuperate some time, I think we can take one question from a CEC member, one question from a community member, then we'll need to move forward and just ask you to email any questions that we don't hit.
Sure.
Any CEC members first? Thank you. Let's move. Anyone from the community have any questions or comments now? Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. We are moving to Jenny Fox now.
Hi, I'm from PS261. I'm a parent there. This is also my first CEC meeting. As well as being a mom, I also am the chairperson of our school's book committee, and I write for children, and I've worked in children's publishing for 20 years. So literacy is obviously a big issue that I'm concerned with. I know the chancellor in his speech called out literacy and that we need to do some work in that area. I agree. The issue that I wanted to address was librarians in our schools, specifically certified librarians, and the benefit that they can bring to our students' literacy, and the fact that our schools have lost many librarians over the past 10 to 15 years. So I just wanted to do a really quick presentation about that. And Antonia,
Jane, can you share my screen?
Sure. Do you have the slides?
I do.
Okay. Yeah.
Hold on, sorry.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, that's it, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. So we wanted to bring this issue. Christine Egan is my other mom who's helping on this. She unfortunately has COVID at the moment, but she's listening in. So we're hoping to get support to fund certified librarians in New York City public schools from K to 12th grade. Okay. This is a growing problem across the country, librarian loss, as well as closer to home. Public schools are losing certified librarians at alarming rates. Between 2000 and 2018 across the country, US public schools lost nearly 20% of their librarians. Of the libraries that remain, up to 40% of them are not staffed by certified librarians. That means librarians who are trained and have a degree in library science. Since 2005, in New York City public schools alone, we've lost about 2/3 of our librarians in schools. In 2005, we had approximately 1,500 librarians in our schools. Today, we have approximately 450 librarians. In our district alone, District 15, we have up to 24 schools that do not have certified librarians on staff. This includes middle schools and high schools. There are schools where there is someone perhaps checking in or checking out books, going around with a book cart, acting as a librarian, but these are the schools that do not have a certified trained librarian on staff. Okay. Staffing certified librarians in our schools provides proven academic benefits. There's years and years of research on this. Over 60 academic studies have looked at this, showing that certified librarians in our schools boost literacy outcomes, overall academic success, research skills, graduation rates, and equity. As our kids are exposed to more and more forms of technology, librarians teach students how to research and safely navigate all of this information, how to evaluate the validity of the sources they're reading. And these are skills that they need in higher education and in life. Currently, many colleges and universities are reporting that students are coming to them completely ill-prepared for college or university to do a research paper, just basic skills that were once taken for granted. Libraries are an equally important counterpoint to classrooms. They promote free choice, pleasure reading, and self-direction. And these are all factors that make for kids who not only can read, like physically read, decode, and all the things they're learning in the classroom, but who love to read. And loving to read is a more important indicator of their success with reading than the technical aspects in the classroom. Also in the classroom, for a lot of children, there's actually a lot of shame around reading. Currently, a lot of kids know each other's levels. They're picking from certain book bins. So there's certain things in the classroom that are not equal to the library experience where they can go in and just choose for themselves and look around and explore. Okay. Additionally, school librarian loss is an equity and social justice issue. All children deserve the right to read, equal access to information, and the skills to access it. Not all students have books in the home. Not all students are taken to bookstores or public libraries. And a school library is an equitable, accessible source of diverse materials. Certified librarians are skilled educators who are uniquely trained to evaluate materials and curate a diverse collection where the students can see themselves and learn about the experiences of others. So one of the skills that the librarian brings to the table is they are sourcing the actual books. They're the ones reading book reviews, School Library Journal, Publishers Weekly. They're often helping teachers find new materials, new diverse books. What's the latest book about this issue or that person? So they are not only helping the students, they're also helping the teachers to source this information. So, and additionally, there's studies proving that schools serving our most vulnerable students, including students living in poverty and English language learners, are losing librarians in their schools up to 2 times faster than schools that are not serving those populations. The benefits associated with school librarians are also the most important for those populations. So it's like a double whammy. Okay. Many children are in literacy crisis. Years we've had with balanced literacy, we moved away from the phonics model for several years, which affected some students adversely. This is compounded by pandemic reading losses. There was recently an article in the New York Times about the crisis that some children are facing. And I think, you know, the chancellor alluded to that as well in his speech. Our youngest readers need every possible literacy resource at this time. If children are not reading proficiently by the 3rd grade, they're up to 4 times more likely to drop out of high school. So the saying is that up to 3rd grade, children are learning to read. After 3rd grade, they're reading to learn. So they're actually losing out in their other subjects as well, not just ELA, math, everything else. Because if you can't understand the information that's coming in, or if you're expected to read something independently that affects the outcome of how well you do with that information, and you can't read as well, then it starts to affect all of your learning across the board. Currently, the state mandates in New York only call for school librarians in middle and high schools. That's too late to boost critical early reading success. It's too late to hit this 3rd grade benchmark. Additionally, the mandates in New York State are unenforced and unfunded, which is how we end up with 24 schools in our district with no active libraries or librarians, including middle and high schools. Okay, so it sounds maybe like an impossible goal to get a librarian in every school in New York City. However, Washington, D.C. recently funded librarians in every one of their public schools. Boston Public Schools has plans to staff librarians in all of their schools by 2026. So New York should not let our children lag behind in literacy, and we need to bring librarians back into our schools to help address our children's literacy. At 261, we've done some advocacy. We've sent 450 postcards from our students to elected officials. We've started this petition here on change.org, and I've put together a library advocacy toolkit, which is just a lot of the articles and research and videos. And I have a list of the schools in our district that don't have certified librarians. So if you go to the petition, please feel free to sign and share that. And also, if you go to the toolkit, feel free to look around there. It's kind of like a living document, so I keep adding things. We also are hoping to create a resolution that the CEC could vote on about this issue. And I think it is important, as people are saying, what can we do to support literacy, especially for our children who are falling behind, those children, you know, in those percentages that we were looking at that aren't in the good percentage. These are the types of things that we need to be doing for them. And basically, I don't think we even know how bad the pandemic has affected students' learning yet. But instead of more testing, to me, it's more important that we put the money into the resources that are actually going to serve the children, things like school librarians, instead of keep testing them. We know children are struggling. So I think it's time to ask for this. It's time to pay attention to this. A lot of parents don't know if their school has a librarian or not. It's sort of one of those problems that's happening a little quietly behind the scenes. So we wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. These are some of the sources, and I have a lot of those articles and the research studies if you go to the toolkit too, if you're interested in learning more. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. That presentation was very enlightening, and I think, boy, that must have been a lot of work. It really hit home. Camille, you had something?
Jennifer, thank you so much. That was incredibly informative. I wanted to ask you a question because it was a few years ago, the DOE implemented this new rule that anybody who was working in a school library had to have a certified license as a librarian. And so many of the schools all over the city actually lost their person who was functioning as the librarian when this rule changed. So I'm wondering if you know offhand if that happened to any of the schools in District 15 specifically. Have you heard about that happening?
I can imagine that would have affected people. I know there's still people who aren't certified librarians working as librarians in schools. So I think some people are maybe just ignoring that. At our school, PS261, I think for almost the entire history of the school, we paid for a part-time librarian through the PTA, which is not really sustainable or equitable or desirable. She was a certified librarian, she had a degree, but she wasn't paid for by the school, she was paid for by the parents. So I think there's been a lot of like jerry-rigging kind of crazy situations, but the studies that I refer to, the benefits come from certified librarians who are trained in library science. So I think that's really the direction that the schools should go. And I think it really needs to be funded by the city or state. And I think it needs to, in speaking with our principal, what she was saying is because they keep cutting and cutting and cutting things, it needs to be like a line item in their budgets that is specifically for a librarian to keep it safe from being cut.
Yeah.
And have to be rejuggled.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a reasonable request for us to write a resolution. So I think that we can start working on that right away and
Great.
probably use a good chunk of the information that you have in your presentation.
Thank you.
So thank you for doing that work.
No problem.
Camille, I don't want to take any more time that we don't have, but I will say that my experience, we'll say I have an insider. My wife's a DOE teacher, and it seems to be like actually the opposite seems to be more true, is that people who aren't trained in being a librarian, I mean, that's an advanced degree, are being plugged into those positions just because they're free or extra staff or whatever. So that seems to be what I hear. But thank you again so much. Please come back and you know, help us prepare this with you. Let's move forward. We have review and vote on the PEP.
We decided to scratch that because the timing is just not really working out. And we have, Tony and I were discussing actually using our recent resolution on transition aid to just present to the PEP. Antonia, you want to say anything?
No.
Okay, great.
I think
So
that's an excellent idea.
Student funding letter to the PEP right now because it's not enough time in the day to get all of these things done.
So let's move forward then to old business.
Actually, we have the
Metro cards.
review and vote on the resolution for student Metro cards. So this came about recently when we found out a number of students who were taking Saturday classes and had Metro cards during the week were paying to get to and from school on Saturday for their classes. And looking into it further, found out that schools actually can give two ride, like a, 1-day Metro cards to the students that need them. But on the back end, the logistics behind it is really significant. And it seems that more and more students are participating in Saturday classes now, including some sports events at schools. So the discussion was to expand the use of the student Metro cards for those who are eligible to be used Monday through Saturday, and to expand the hours from 5:30 in the morning to 8:30 p.m. Still starting at 5:30, but expanding to 9:30. And that's because in the older grades, they end up having much longer days on Saturday and frequently have to pay to come back home, even if they had the access in the morning. I think at least two of you had read and commented on this, and then all of the comments were accepted. But did everybody get a chance to look at it? I can read it aloud. Okay. Let me just run over to the other computer and I will screen share it at the same time.
Camille, I can share it for you. Sure, Camille.
Okay, we'll just start reading. Okay, so resolution on expanded use of student Metro cards. Whereas schools distribute student Metro cards to eligible students at the beginning of each semester and as needed during the school year, whereas students can use the school distributed Metro card at every subway and local bus, whereas student Metro cards are different from regular Metro cards sold to the public, good for 3 trips each school day, allowing a student to travel to school, from school to an after school activity, and from that activity back home, only to be used by the student to whom it was assigned for traveling to and from school and school-related activities between 5:30 a.m. and 8:30 p.m., for traveling only on days when the student's school is open for classes, valid for 1 school semester. That whole chunk came directly from the DOE website. Antonia, do you mind just putting that in italic so it's a little bit more obvious, and then I will footnote it later?
Which part do you want me to put in italics?
All of those bullets.
Oh, all the bullets. Okay.
Sorry. Whereas many schools hold Saturday classes for academic intervention and enrichment activities, as well as sporting events and activities. Whereas families must absorb the transportation costs for students to travel to school on Saturdays. Whereas many families cannot afford to pay this additional cost week after week. Whereas many extracurricular activities, especially for high school students, can oftentimes run later into the evening during the week and also on Saturdays. Whereas schools have access to 1-day, 2-trip Metro cards that can and should be given to students for weekend use as needed and required. Whereas the funding for a 2-trip Metro card comes out of the school's budget. Whereas the logistics and required tracking of 2-trip Metro cards is an unnecessary burden on schools. Therefore, be it resolved that Metro card usage times for traveling to and from school and school-related activities be expanded for use between 5:30 a.m. and 9:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday. We can go to public comments if anybody has a question or statement to make.
I would like to make a comment that I think this is very timely, considering our new mayor, Adams, just publicly sort of bragged that his new initiative is to prosecute turnstile jumpers very eagerly. So I think that that's a well-timed.
Okay, great. Thank you for that comment.
Camille,
Anyone
can I
else?
just change the word oftentimes? I don't think that's a word,
Go ahead.
just often.
Anyone else?
I'd like to make a motion to vote.
Thank you, Nancy. Motion's on the table. Is there a second?
I will second. Hold on. I will read the roll.
Great.
Camille,
I approve.
Antonia, yes. Tia,
Approve.
Vincent,
Approve.
Nana Poku Ajakum,
Approve.
Alfred DeAngelis,
Approve.
Joseph Alexander,
Approve.
Nancy Randall,
Approve.
Vanessa Gonzalez Uoka,
Approve.
and Nakia Muhasa Brown.
Approve.
Okay, great. The resolution passes.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, so next on the agenda are the approval of meeting minutes. We have minutes that have been offered September 14th, September 28th, and March 8th. So thank you to Vanessa, who worked on one of these minutes, our newest, one of our newer members, really jumping in and doing the work. Thank you so much. And Tony and I did the other two. So did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes? They were shared. I've been told by Face that we do not need to do roll call votes for minutes. We just need to have somebody
I'll
make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Do we approve all three at once or just approve them one at a time?
If nobody has any questions or comments, we can just mark them approved. That's what Steve said.
Okay,
Where actually, see, the thing is, and where we've been going wrong here is it's just supposed to be, we're going to adopt the minutes, not approve.
Oh,
And so I guess with the approval, you do the vote, and with the adoption, it's something else. I'm not sure.
does somebody have to make a motion to adopt and then a second?
There's some language, but if nobody has a problem with these minutes, we will just adopt them and we will get that language for the next time going forward. Since now we have a lot of minutes to approve going forward.
All right. So all three minutes have been adopted.
Yes, fantastic. So we'll get those posted as soon as possible on the website. And thank you so much. And a bunch of you have minute assignments. You know who you are. We don't need to review it again, but please do get to work on your minutes. All right. So next item on the agenda, purchase orders are due April 1st. What does that mean? Basically, we have our CEC budget, and anything that we have to order through a purchase order has to be in place by April 1st and entered into the computer. So there are a few things that fall into this category. One of them is all of these parent workshops that we've been doing. So I'm probably going to need some help because this has now all of a sudden become a significant amount of paperwork to do, and without our administrative assistant, the deadline is coming near. Alfred, I'm going to call on you to help with this project as our treasurer. And I hope that you'll be able to find some time in the next 7 days or so to help. And another part of this purchase order is that we can order from Staples a bunch of office supplies, which we may very well need if we are going to go back into in-person. So if someone is interested in helping to coordinate purchases for office supplies, we basically have to go on the Shop DOE website and pull out a bunch of code numbers and give them to Steve. So I think that's it for the purchase orders, but those are projects that have to be done in before April 1st, and probably a couple of days before April 1st, because Steve will need time to enter all of that. So you don't have to raise your hand now, but I look forward to hearing from someone to help on this project. So, all right, so
Now,
I will.
Camille, on this project, should I just reach out to Steve to see what needs to be done, or reach out to you, or?
I think she might have copied you on all of those emails. So let's you and I make a plan to talk. And then Steve is out sick, so I don't know. I hope he'll be back tomorrow, but he may be out for a couple of days. So let's you and I.
I'll check my emails again. I don't remember seeing any, but I'll check again, and then I'll reach out to you, or wait for Steve to get. Well, I don't want to wait for Steve to get back. I'll reach out to you if I don't see him.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No.
Antonia, I'll pass it over to you for the next agenda item, which is a vote on a statement. There is a charter renewal hearing coming up for a charter in Red Hook. Antonia?
Yeah, so PAVE is a charter in Red Hook. They're asking for a 5-year renewal. We have written a statement opposing the 5-year renewal based on the history of negative impact that the charter has had to the neighboring school, so much so that we had to phase out the elementary school and transition it to the future middle school that it will be. This statement also highlights aspects of the charter law that the charter school is not living up to. And it also talks about all the other choices in the district that are available to families in Red Hook. So I'll just quickly read it. A CEC15 statement on, oh wait, I'll share my screen. Sorry, I should share my screen. Okay, you can see that, right? CEC15 statement on PAVE Academy Charter School renewal. CEC15 opposes a 5-year renewal of PAVE Academy Charter School. CEC15 is a body that represents the interests of parents and students in District 15 schools. We weigh those interests thoughtfully with the merits of each charter proposal in accordance with the New York State Charter Schools Act of 1998. Historically and currently, District 15 schools are working well, utilizing progressive and innovative methodologies and resources to meet the needs of our students. Our district has been responsive to the needs of District 15 families and has a commitment to ensure seat capacity and programming availability for all populations. District 15 has expanded and increased 3K and pre-K seats, as well as D75 seats, which offer opportunities for students requiring extra support for their special needs, some of which may be medical. CSD 15 currently has 11 middle schools and 26 elementary schools, many of them with diverse populations and all with strong professional, experienced, and fully certified teachers. Further, we are in our 4th year of an historic integration plan through the District 15 diversity plan to remove barriers to diverse learning environments for the entire district. While we are seeking to enhance services to special education students through more ASD dyslexia focused and twice exceptional programs, at this time, we know of no charters in District 15, including PAVE Academy Charter School, that service these specific populations. CEC15 cannot support any charter school that seeks to draw District 15 resources without offering anything District 15 doesn't already have. Under New York State Charter Schools Act, Section 2852-9-AB, the Board of Regents and SUNY prioritize those charters that provide new alternatives within the local public education system that would offer the greatest educational benefit to students. CEC15 sees no evidence that PAVE Academy Charter School fulfills any curriculum-based gaps already identified above. In fact, a new public middle school located within a few blocks of PAVE will house both MS 676, which will have a maritime-based STEM curriculum, and a D75 school. We also question the need to renew PAVE Academy Charter School for 5 years, given enrollment declines, greater school choices, and new capacity in CSD 15. District 15 has expanded choices for families in Red Hook through the new elementary school rezoning. Those that were previously zoned for PS 676 can access PS 15, as well as the elementary schools in subzone 3 through the priority set-asides at each school, which include PS 29, PS 58, PS 261, PS 38, and the newly renovated and expanded PS 32. Additionally, Red Hook has always had access to the Brooklyn New School and the Children's School through similar application mechanisms to a charter. There is also no need for a PAVE with grades 6 through 8. District 15 is on track to add 555 seats at MS 676, home of the future Harbor Middle School, by 2025. District 15 has also made significant changes to admissions processes for middle schools through the D15 diversity plan, creating more equitable access. These choices are available to all families in Red Hook. Unlike charters, the DOE spends money on teaching, not on marketing. As a consequence, families may not have always known the full scope of their options. It's imperative to share them here today. Furthermore, enrollment is in decline. According to the D15 data summary, middle school enrollment peaked in 2019 and is expected to continue to decline over the next few years. Given enrollment trends, the new school buildings opening in District 15, it is anticipated that capacity will exceed demand in the coming years. These district projections, coupled with new capacity over the next 5 years, make it difficult to imagine that PAVE Academy Charter School can sustain enrollment in grades 6 through 8 over the renewal period. This will prove detrimental to their ability to deliver services. CEC15 cannot support any charter that draws public funds and resources to the detriment of the surrounding District 15 schools. The New York State Charter Schools Act 2851 states that charter applicants must provide evidence of adequate community support and an assessment of the projected programmatic and fiscal impact of the school on other public and non-public schools in the area. Charters frequently provide evidence of community interest, but they neglect to consider the negative fiscal impact on the surrounding schools. PAVE has, in fact, negatively impacted the surrounding schools, despite efforts to improve PS 676, including hiring a new principal and embedding a new curriculum. PAVE's present siphons students and funds away from the local public elementary school, which is now being phased out. PAVE currently enrolls approximately 360 gen ed students and 113 special ed students in grades K through 8, of which approximately 246 gen ed students and 69 special ed students are enrolled in grades K through 5. As a result, PS 676 has had to pay PAVE over $4 million per year in tuition for those students enrolled in PAVE with no transitional aid compensation from the state. PS 676 was left trying to educate the remaining district students with one hand tied behind its back. Ultimately, the district had to rezone the entire area for PS15 and provide a true mechanism for choice, as there would have been no choice, only PAVE. Where there were 2 traditional public schools zoned for Red Hook, now there is 1. In this way, PAVE's presence limited the choices of Red Hook families rather than expanding them. CEC15 opposes the obligation to provide free space to charter schools, whether it is a co-location within DOE space or rents on privately owned or leased space. While PAVE Academy Charter School is not utilizing DOE-owned space, the DOE reimburses PAVE for private space. Additionally, according to the Charter Act, New York State prefers charters that partner with low-performing public schools to share best educational practices and innovations. Yet our district has not received any of these benefits to date from any of the charters in our district, including PAVE Academy Charter School. Thus, CEC15 opposes a 5-year renewal of PAVE Academy Charter School. Owing to a responsibility to serve currently enrolled students, CEC15 asks SUNY for a 2-year renewal of PAVE Academy Charter School in order to initiate a phase out of grades K and 6. We also ask that SUNY reject renewal or expansion applications for any charters in District 15 that fail to satisfy all of the standards laid out in the New York State Charter Schools Act of 1998. Just a little light reading.
Are there any questions from the public? I guess we'll move to CEC questions.
Nancy?
Thank you, Joseph. I just wanted to share, if it's okay. I wanted to share that today I actually spoke with 3 members of the PAR team from Red Hook. One is a member of the community and has had relationships with PS15 and PS 676 for a long time, and the other 2 are the former PTA president at PS 676 and the current PTA president at 676. And as members of the PAR team, they got to know even more people of the Red Hook community, and they have had people who are parents at PAVE come to them and share their thoughts about PAVE. And one of the issues that many families who have students at PAVE are facing is that there is rampant bullying. And the parents at PAVE have resorted to, have tried to have something be done by the school leadership. But because of issues that they see with the school leadership and management, and because it's a charter school and there's no structure of accountability, so there's no superintendent, there's nobody above them that they can go to. What parents are doing is they're calling the police because their kids are being bullied by other kids, and so obviously that exacerbates the problem of having police around children of color. And it's clear to them that they do not want PAVE to continue in their community. They see that it's to the parents that spoke to the PAR team members and what they relayed to me is that absolutely not. They do not want PAVE in their community any longer. So I wanted to share that.
That's shocking.
Yeah, that's really disturbing information. And in fact, I think that we should report that to SUNY and make sure that NICEAD also gets that information. And maybe we could speak with the local police department as well and make sure that SUNY and NICEAD are aware that this is happening and that the school is not doing anything to make the situation better.
I think Nana has his hand up.
Anna, sorry, I was reading something about the school just then.
No, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you for putting it together, Antonia. So I've always had a very divided opinion, to be honest with you, the last few years about charter school, because, you know, for the most part, we've been made to believe that it provides opportunity to communities that wouldn't have that opportunity, that level of, you know, education. But as I've learned over the few years, not years, a few months I've been on the CEC and my own research, one of the things that I've learned, and make an example between PAVE, I've been to PAVE, being around, just because there were some soccer lessons being taken there, very beautiful building. It was sort of one of those buildings that was really not hard to miss just because of it being in the community that wouldn't have such beautiful buildings. But on the other part, when I do look at it, although it is within the community, I've observed and I don't feel like it really serves the community. It's right across from the Red Rock housing, and I just wonder how many of those students that live in the nature housing actually attend those schools, just because they have the opportunity to pick and choose. So when I go through this resolution, I'm comparing what they have with their school grounds to what the PS15 have, that we're struggling to actually get a playground together. Then I just wonder that, is it really taking that away that opportunity to improve PS15, or regardless of whether we take it away from the community or not, it's still going to remain the same. The jury's still out there for that. But based on what I'm seeing, I think that, you know, the purpose that is meant to serve within the community, I don't really think that it's serving that purpose and providing the needs for those children that need it within a natural house that need that level of education, because they have the ability to pick and choose. So I think this is a good resolution, that there is some oversight, that not oversight, but there are people that are watching and being the liaison for PS15, of course. And I just want to make sure that, you know, they're getting the fair shake of providing a quality education for people around the community. So I wholeheartedly support the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions before we vote?
I'd like to make a motion to vote on the statement.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I second.
Was that
Thank you,
statement shared previously?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
I shared it last night.
I don't think that's sufficient time for us to review. But yeah, if you guys want to vote, that's fine. But that's my comment on this. You know, we can be voting something last minute like this every single time.
I agree with Vincent.
Well, what do the bylaws say? I think
There's a
that
motion on the table to vote and it was seconded.
Yeah, I think we're to the roll.
Okay. Camille?
I approve.
Antonia, yes, I approve. Tia?
Approve.
Vincent?
No, we need more time to review.
Nana?
I approve.
Alfred? Alfred?
I oppose.
Joseph?
I approve.
Yvonne Bonus not here. Nancy?
Approve.
Okay. Vanessa? And Nakia?
Approve.
Okay, and the motion passes, the statement passes. Thank you guys so much. When we have these hearings, they give us short notice and we have to vote on these. We have to craft them and have them voted on at our scheduled meetings before the hearing. So, you know, I did share it last night. Folks had all day to look at it, and I believe that is within the bylaws. So anyway, thank you so much.
All right, we need to move to our last item, which is public comment. If we have any community members that would like to speak or ask a question, please let us know. I see no one coming forward, so I think that goes to you, Antonia.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
That's what I was waiting for.
The time is now 8:49, and thank you all for coming. We look forward to seeing you again. Please do attend our April business meeting. It might be the last one that we have on Zoom for the time being, but looking forward to seeing you all in person in the somewhat near future. Take care, stay safe, and have a lovely evening.
Good night.
Hi, everybody.
And thank you so much to our interpreters.
You're welcome. Good night.
Have a nice night, everyone.
Okay, I think that is everybody. So I guess